What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you are once again visiting this, I am Nightmares. I basically love TCGs, well, video games of all kinds, but TCGs has always been a really big part of my life. I've loved collecting them, even when it goes back to as far as just collecting uh, the original Pokemon that came from Tops and things like that, the Digimon cards. But if you've not been to the channel, thank you for stumbling upon me. Please like, follow, and hit that notification button for more. I don't do this very often. This is a part-time gig for me. But today we're going into it's not new, but it's new for me. And that is the My Hero Academia card game, or CCG. And it's made by Jasco Games, I think, or Jesco Games. Anyway, and sponsored, of course, by Funimation. And I have two decks here. I bought the My Hero Rival deck box, which comes with two decks. It comes with Izuku Midoriya and then Katsu Bakugo. So basically, you know, they're rivals in the show later on. You know, if you've watched it. But anyway, this is a card game that is a fighting style card game. So Universus makes it. And apparently there's other card games out there that use it. Universus is what it actually is called. But it is a very fighting style-esque game. So with enough chit chat, let's go ahead and get right into the pack opening. Well, or the box opening. So as you guys can see here, I have both decks. Hopefully the lighting's fairly good. It's hard to get lighting right in my room. But anyway, we have on the left here, we have Midoriya, and on the right we have Bakugo. And we're not going to go into real big detail about either of these decks. I'm just going to try to give you all an overlay of card types, how to read the cards, how to block, things like that. Just basically a really quick overview on how to read the cards. So we'll get right into it. So we're just going to take a look at character cards. So if you look here at good old Midoriya, hopefully you can see through the light. But starting off, we're going to go through. You have the hand size, and then the vitality there, which is your health and your hand size. So if you go down and you look at this, you can see here that he has a hand size of 6, which basically means every turn or every round you're going to draw your hand size to 6, and he has 28 health. He can't go above that, and he can't, you know, there's ways to gain health, but once he reaches 0, you're gone. So the point of the game is to basically get your opponent to 0, or that you basically cycle out, and we'll talk about cycling out later. But then up here you have the difficulty of the card, you have the card name or the character name, then you have its defense, and then here you'll have its what actual type card it is, which you can see here it says character, and which version it is. This is 1, and then down here is the check, and then over here you'll see its abilities or his effects that Midoriya can do, and then right over here you'll see his typing, 3 types, and all characters have the 3 types. So that's basically it for the hero cards. So let's just go ahead and get right down into it. All right, so we went over hero cards, so we'll go over the next type, which let's see here, we'll go over this next. This is called a foundation, and the foundation here, you can see that it has the card name, or anyway, but right here you've got the good old difficulty, and then the blocker ability. It's a 3 mid. We'll get into that later. And then right here you can see on its identification symbol that it is a foundation card. It's got the little hammer there. And then of course it's check, which is 5, which we'll get into that. And then its ability, which is enhance. That's one of the steps that you do during the game. And then of course you have its typing. When you have cards in your deck, they have to meet your character, whether it be hero or villain. One of these 3 typings right here has to meet or coordinate with your heroes or your characters typing. So see there, they match up. Just one of those. So it doesn't have to meet every symbol, but at least one symbol has to be from your specific hero. And then next we're going to go ahead and get into the attacks. So we covered characters, foundations, and now we're going to go over basically attacks. So attacks have a little bit more going on. You once again have the difficulty modifier, the name, the defense, but now we'll get to here and you will see this number and this. Now these will vary, but this is the speed of the attack and basically direction, but it's referred to as speed. And then down below it in the yellow, you're going to see the damage that it does. And then of course right here, you're going to see the attack, its checking, we'll get to it, its description, what it does, and then of course it's typing. But now this right here, you're going to differentiate. There's going to be 3 types of attacks. I guess we can go ahead and get into that. So we'll get these here, and I think Midoriya has, basically there is a mid, well, a high, a mid, and a low, and there's also a high, mid, and a low block. So we'll go ahead and clear this off here and we'll just go through it. So basically, as you can see here, these are 3 different attacks. We have Heroic Strike, which we went over when we were talking about what was on the card. And you can see here on the speed that it is designated by red and the arrow is up, which means it is a high attack. So red equals high. Excuse me. And then you'll look here on future charge. You can see it's a orange and it is indicated in the middle, which means it is a mid attack. And then on this last card on Velocity Punch, you see that it is yellow and it is pointed downward. That is a low attack. Since we're on this one, we'll go ahead and start with this. If you see the defense, it is a 3 yellow. So how defending and attacking work is this. So when you play an attack, if you were to block, like this for instance, this is a really good example here. So if we threw out, let's say you're someone else, or maybe it's a mirror match, and someone throws out the Heroic Strike, it is a high, and so it's a 4 high attack. Basically, you need to block the opposing attack with the same or 1 off. So basically a high has to be blocked by a high blocker or a mid blocker. So we'll just go ahead and say this. If we were to do that, and then we'll get into the checks later, but you play sorry, I'll turn around, sorry. The future charge, you can see that it is a 2 high on the block, on the defense. If you block in the same zone, so high has to be blocked by a high or mid. Mid, because we're 1 off, can be blocked by a high, a mid, or a low, and then low has to be blocked by a low or a mid. Think about in a fighting game, and just think about if you were punching high, how would you have to block it? You could kind of go mid, maybe step, just think of it a little bit like that to get a better grasp of how this is supposed to work. It's literally a fighting game, but in card form. Sorry, I'm gonna have to get a drink. My throat is dry, allergies. But anyway, I'm back at it now. Let's say you threw out Heroic Strike and you wanted to block it with Velocity Punch. Velocity Punch is a 3 low. It can block, cannot block, because basically what you do is you go off the speed. Almost every attack has a block and a speed. So when you're determining it, this cannot block this. Like I said, so that's it on that. As you play the game, you'll get used to little things like that. But like I said, that is a little bit difficult to understand. You just have to think about it. Now that we went over character cards, foundations, and attacks, and a little bit about blocking, there's a couple types that you don't actually get to see in the rival deck box. You don't get to see actions or assists. And basically imagine actions or assists to be like quick spells or things like that that you can play basically at, I think it's pretty much any time. So assists are blue, aren't they? No, assists are green, actions are blue. I've only played like one game, so it's a lot to absorb. But anyway, basically your actions stay in the card pool, but that's enough of that. Let's get to the board layout. This is going to be a bad way to show it, but basically I will set it up as such, so hopefully you can understand. So basically you have when you start a game, you'll have, we're going to move it up because you can't see from my camera, you'll have your character area, and then of course you're going to have your deck, and then your discard pile usually is above it, and then here will be your card pool. And just imagine basically 6 little squares up here, and then this would be your staging area. This is where your cards are going to go once they are effective from your staging area. But that's the layout of the board. We'll kind of leave it like this so you guys can see things in action. And there's a cool mechanic in this game called progressive difficulty, which we'll go ahead and get into since we've discussed the board state and everything like that. So let's say we go ahead and we draw our 5 card. Well, oops, that's not gonna go. That ain't gonna work. Oops. Okay, let's just go ahead and say we draw our 5 cards here, and 6 for Midoriya. Okay, so at the start of our turn, progressive difficulty, you always have to play your cards from left to right. Okay, left to right is very important. Then of course you will go backwards in the effects of moving them down from right to left. Okay, so let's say we want to play Passing the Torch. This is a foundation card. Foundation cards, once they're resolved and you pass, everybody pass turns, the all the steps are done, you're starting, you're in enhanced. Man, I can't get over this. My throat is so itchy. But let's just get it out of the way. Your first basically card pull area is a +0. Okay, what we would do is it's the start of our turn, we're like, hey, I'm going to play Passing the Torch. So it has a difficulty rating of 2. What you would then do is you would take the top card of your deck and flip it over. All right, granted that's a really good card, but as you can see here, I pitched out Determined Victory Smash. It has a check of 3. So basically you must beat this in order to cast it. So the 3 checks out and it beats the 2 check. Okay, so it goes into my discard pile. Now, let's say I want to play, after that, I want to, you can attack on your first turn. Let's just say we go ahead and resolve that. I pass, it checked out. It will then come down into my staging area, and this is where it will stay. Okay, foundations go here, whereas assists go down into the staging area as well, but I'm pretty sure that actions stay in your card pool. Pretty sure, I think. But anyway, sorry I don't know a whole lot. I just wanted to get this out here because I want to start doing this content and I want to see if people would like to watch it or watch it live. But anyway, so pass turn. Okay, turn comes back around to me. All right, well anyway, sorry, one of the steps was I would have to discard my hand down to basically 2. And now it's back to my turn. I get to keep one of these 2. I have to discard them. So I'm going to keep the foundation, go ahead and discard that, and I'm going to draw my hand size again up to 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, you're always going to want to play your foundations first, and I actually got a good hand to show you progressiveness. So basically, start of my turn, I'm going to play Bonds of Friendship. It is in the 0, the first card pull spot, so it has a 0 difficulty rating added to it, so it's just 1. So I check, it's a 3, it goes through. But now let's say I want to play another one. I want to play a Bond of Friendship, or sorry, Passing the Torch. This being in the second gets a +1 modifier, and it progresses like that. It's 0, +1, +2, +3, +4, all the way up to +5. So you really have to play this game because, right, it passed. Now let's say I want to play an attack. Well, we just want to go ahead and get something big out there, but we're going to be a little bit risky about it. We are going to go ahead and play Aspiring Punch. It is in the 3rd card pull slot, which means this gets a +2 onto that 5. Okay, so I'm going to flip. All right, it is a 3, so I failed the check. The attack would not go through. But now let's say, for instance, that, let's see just what the next card is. Let's get a scenario here. Okay, so let's say this were to happen. I play Aspiring Punch, I flip, and I pull Gift from Mom. It has a check of 5, but remember, this is added +2 to it, so it's a 7. You can commit cards. Committing is like tapping or anything like that in any other card game. So basically, you can commit your staged foundations, but not your assist or anything like that, and your character card to add a +1 to this check. So you can add to this. So since this is a 7, I can commit Passing the Torch, which means I cannot use it or any of its sensibilities, and I can commit my hero character, which means I can't use any of his hands abilities for that turn. But that would allow me to go ahead and send this attack through, so then it would check out. There's a lot of strategy involved in when, how, and what to play because of the progressive difficulty. Also, next time, considering I can tap foundations and they stay in my staging area, this attack will go through. So he can choose to block or defend, and let's say he goes ahead and he blocks it with a, let's see if I can show this here. So he's going to block it with a friendship. Let's say he does that. So since it's a 1 high, okay, blocking works like this. It has a progressive modifier as well. So you must basically use the speed of the attack plus the defense modifier, so basically the +1. So you have the speed plus that. So basically right now you have a check of 6. So he would have to check a card off, and then of course tap his foundations to see if he can even pull that off. Let's say he does, but since this was a high block versus a mid attack, he would still take half damage. The only way you negate all the damage is if you block in the same zones. High for high, mid for mid, low for low. Anything else will take half damage. Plus, you have to use resources and tap out to get to those points. So now we move on. Basically, these would come on down. Now, these are still tapped. Once again, I cannot uncommit until the beginning of my turn. So now it's my defender's turn. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big deal to make sure you have cards in your hand left to play or block. But anyway, it comes back to my turn. Commit, or everything restands. And like I said, you can do this at any time. You can use now these foundations. So basically, now that you've got your foundations going, you can basically do more. Now let's say this attack would have went through. This is another weird thing. If this attack goes through, it would then become momentum, which goes underneath my main character. Momentum is a card that is used, like there's a lot of abilities that will say discard a momentum. And basically, like I said, just imagine a fighting game. You're going on and on and on. You're throwing punches back, you're blocking, you're defending. Momentum means, just like the actual definition, you can use that to keep up the push or keep up the progression or heal and other things like that, depending on the cards you've selected to put in your deck. Like I said, this is a very fast-paced game. I also don't. Let's turn it down a little bit. I just now noticed it was getting pretty high up there. But now, you've noticed that I have kept playing cards and you discard cards from the top of your life deck. This is what I called cycling. So cycling, once you run out of cards in your main deck, let's say they're all here. Let's say I've played everything, they're all here now. What I would do is I would reshuffle my deck, and then you discard the top 10 cards from the game. Just like in real life, it's trying to show you that basically every round you go, every time you suck, you're getting more and more tired. You're getting more and more exhausted. There's less moves you can throw. There's less I don't know. I really like that idea of the game, but I'm trying to think of anything I didn't discuss. I should have wrote it all down, but I think that's basically it. I've got some notes over here, but I just jot them down vaguely. Momentum. Yeah, during the end phase of each turn. Okay, yeah. So during the end phase of each turn, that was momentum. You can add any attacks that went through below your character. So let's go over the symbols. You've basically got on this one, you've got good, life, and then order. And then if you'll look at Bakugo, where'd he go? Murder, death, explosion, dynamite here. He has air, death, and fire. There's actually 12 elemental types. Good lord. There's air, all, which of course is all might, chaos, death, earth, evil, fire, good, life, order, void, and water. And as long, like I said, you can build your deck any way you want it, as long as one of these, let me show you. There's a good example of that. So I think each deck came with a special card, if I can find him. Where did he go? Maybe I should grab Bakugo's deck real quick, just so I can show you. Okay, so you got Bakugo here, and you know what he does. But now look at this. This card came with the deck. So if you'll look, you have Bakugo's there, and then you've got Relentless Barrage. And it has, of course, Death, and then Earth, and then Chaos. No, Evil, sorry. It only has to have one matching. So as you can see, they both have Death. You can put this in your deck. So that's how that works. So when it comes to deck building. And then there's different characters. So you can actually have multiple characters in your deck. But when you play it, it takes over your actual main character. So if I had, I don't know if there is one, but if I had a Deku character 2 or whatever, when I played him, when he comes out of my card pool, that's why there's checks on each of them. If I play him and put him in my card pool, he would actually go over top of my current Midoriya. Almost like if you remember the old Dragon Ball Z card game, Leveling Up. It seems to work a little bit like that. Oh, there's that one. It's just got the order there, so it's able to be played in here. I'm trying to think if I didn't go over anything. But basically the point of the game is you play best 2 out of 3 You can paper, rock, scissors, roll a dice to see who goes first. Probably should win. And then you basically just try to beat the snot out of each other until you either have your opponent down to no life, or you both cycle out, or someone cycles out. And I believe that's about it. So that's the My Hero Academia card game. It's pretty cheap right now. You can get the let me go ahead and grab it. Walmart, Target, almost anywhere I found. Let me put it right here. This is the actual battle, the Academy box here. The 2-player rival box, so you can actually buy this and your buddies can instantly play. I don't know what much of the competitive is like, but you can buy this Target, Walmart, wherever. Also, the first series right here is actually out at almost every card shop I've been to. Not out, like isn't out of stock, but they have them. And they're pretty cheap. You can get some, I've seen places as low as 65 bucks. So it's a really good time to get involved in it if you want to. If you like fighting games and tried to imagine Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter in a card game form, here it is. And there may be one out there. Like I said, this feels very familiar. I've seen something like this before. I don't know who all Universus does. There's probably a DC or a Marvel or something out there that they've made. But the card game is very fast paced. Once you learn, my first game was slow just because of my buddy trying to teach me how to block, how to defend, what does this do, what does that do, and just like this video, that's probably a ton of information to throw at you. But you can go to My Hero Academia or MHA cardgame.com, and you can actually go to their how to play or watch their cool videos where basically All Might All Might and Razorhead talk you through them, and they will go over a very quick tutorial of it. But they're basically, once you get the gist of how it works, there's a bunch of different characters with a bunch of different hand sizes and vitality, and basically they all have trade-offs. So if you guys would like to see more of this, I'm excited about it. Next time, hopefully, I'll have a play mat so I can show you guys better about the zones. The zones are pretty easy, but like I said, that progressive difficulty and how foundations work is very cool. And I like the definitions they use, like enhancing an attack, emitting. There's other moves that I didn't really get to talk about, like throw. And there's actually moves listed in the rule book that I haven't even seen cards for, but the second set's about to launch, so maybe they will. But like a throw, you'll always take half damage. You know what I'm saying? So even if you block it, you'll still take damage. Like even if it's the same zone, you'll still take half damage. There's cool things like that. There's fury, there's punches. There's just all kinds of things in this card game that make it very catchy. My only complaint, since we've bragged on it, it seemed a little bit lopsided. But then I got to watch a YouTube video, and like I said, my buddy was not very into the community. We just went off the rule book, and there was a change to where basically both players can mulligan, and neither player can attack their first turn. So basically that's your main setup. Like if I get to go first, you basically want to play those foundations. And then player 2 gets to go first. He basically wants to play his foundations, because it seemed very lopsided about going first and second, who could pump out the most damage and basically get rolling. Because if you had a handful of attacks and then you had a handful of blockers, that's what mulligan's in for. But I just felt like that after playing with him and having our really quick, stressful match, because like I said, I was trying to absorb it all, it seems in my brain that that would make more sense. That basically you have that stereotypical anime showdown to where I give my long speech if I'm a villain, you give your time to monologue back and forth, and you basically set up, and then basically when turn 2 happens for player 1, that's when it really goes down. And I think that just would give each character a better time to set up and decide, okay, these are my foundations, Is this guy going to be offensive or defensive? Things like that. But it's very quick, very fast paced. If you like it, please go ahead and get into it. While it's cheap, because TCGs or CCGs, when they kick off, they tend to run. They just do not like walk and like crawl, walk, run. They come out sprinting, and the prices soar. So please, guys, if you like this, go grab you some stuff now while everything is still reasonably priced, especially since this is the first set and set 2 is already coming out. I'm pretty sure it'll start to progress a lot after this, since tournaments and things are coming up. But as always, guys, thank you all for watching. If you like this video, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and maybe if we get 10 likes on this video, I'll actually open this live. If not, I'm just gonna make a YouTube video about it and you can watch it. But if we get 10 likes, I will crack this open live and we'll talk about it and hopefully go over the cards and like see if we can pull some cool All Mights, or maybe like Red Riot or someone like that, because that's the character I really want to play. So let's see if we can do this. But as always, guys, thank you for watching. Love you all. Be nice. Be safe. Peace.